All right, everybody, I'm back this afternoon. So we have completed the autolyzing the flour here. It's just been mixed with water. It's been sitting here for about an hour and a half. So the next step is to mix our dough. This is just bringing everything together and adding salt. So I'll go ahead and do the salt first. One thing I forgot to mention, I like to cover this while it's resting. It helps this dough from not drying out and getting like a crust on the top. So we'll go ahead and take that off, turn the scale on, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna do about 10 grams of flour. That is, I think, about a tablespoon. I'll measure that one out because I think it's helpful to know. Oh, no, probably about a half tablespoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half or so. Just guessing on that. Okay. Let's see, got a spatula here. So then I'm just gonna scrape this entire leaven into my dough. Remember, this is basically the same mix as a starter, just a lot more of it, and then I warmed it up in my Instant Pot, or you can do something similar in your oven at home. But we're just gonna scoop as much of this as we can into our flour and water mixture. All right. Now, for this, I actually just like to use my hands. So let me bring you over, show you what we got going on in here. All right, so you can see the salt, the levain, and the flour and water mixed together. So basically to mix this, I'm just gonna kind of pinch it all together. And then after that, I'll show it to you again. So let me get that mix in. Something I forgot to do, and you can do to help the dough from sticking to your hands, is get some cold water on there. It prevents a lot more sticking than flour does because this is such a wet mix. But really, I'm just kind of picking this up and squeezing it together, kind of like you would a stress ball. Sorry about that. Like you would a stress ball or something. And then just kind of turn it over a few times and just mix it for a few minutes. Okay. That's feeling pretty good now. I'm not really looking for too much in particular, just making sure I don't feel any like pockets of salt, or just kind of making sure there's more or less uniform texture. There might be some small lumps in there, but I just don't want any like big gooey spots where maybe some of the starter is pooling up. We're going to continue to stretch and fold this dough. That's going to kind of substitute for kneading, which is really good to do with a wet dough like this. And so in about 30 minutes, I'm going to come back on and show you stretch and folding. We do that every 30 minutes for the next couple of hours. I guess if you're going to work, this is something you can kind of start after you get home from work for the day. Do your stretch and folds, and then mix it together and all of that. So that's kind of how I'd be spacing that out if I was working an 8-hour day today. All right, that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this once I get my hands cleaned up with a saran wrap. You guys don't need to see me do that though. So, oh, let me show it to you one more time. All right, there is our dough all mixed together, kind of lumpy, definitely a little wet, a little shiny to it. But this is gonna come together a lot nicer as we do those stretch and folds. So like I said, I'll come back to that in about a half hour, and we're gonna do a series of those. So this part of the dough make is definitely a little more time intensive, and you kind of have to stick to a pattern with it. But if you're doing other stuff around the house, I find it pretty easy to check on every 30 minutes or so. All right, I'll be back in a bit.